So once you hit around like $1 million in revenue, the hustler has to die and the leader has to be born.
Mm,
And specifically, the hustler is usually running around, firefighting, doing all this stuff, and you're going to cap out around $1 million or $2 million. Once you actually start to lead, the data is what tells you if things are working or not. And you start to manage by looking at numbers and saying, this is broken in my business, this is not broken in my business. I'll give you a perfect example. In my business,
mhm.
there's a million things that could be fixed at all times in the business, but I know that only four things matter. How many leads did we get? How many clients did we close? How many clients did we lose? And what's our monthly revenue number? Those four numbers.
Welcome everyone. We are live and Khaled today with Phil Risher, the founder of Phlash Consulting. Phil came out of the trenches as the director of business development at one of the largest air duct cleaning companies in the country, where he got frustrated with cookie cutter marketing agencies that knew nothing about the actual business they were supposed to be marketing. That frustration turned into something productive. He built what's now a proven framework called the Flash Customer Journey, helping local businesses consistently grow revenue 20+% year over year. Phil has also been recognized as a Jobber Ambassador, featured on their Masters of Home Services series, and his work has been covered in Forbes, CNBC, Yahoo Finance, and the Wall Street Journal. And I'm really happy to have him on today's show. Welcome, Phil. It's a pleasure to
Yeah.
have you here.
Thanks, man. Appreciate the intro and thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
You are welcome. Can you tell us a bit more about yourself and what you do?
Yeah. Phil Risher, I own Phlash Consulting. We about 20 team members. We do digital marketing consulting for home service businesses. So like HVAC, plumbers, electricians, those types of businesses, specifically ones that are $1 million to $10 million in revenue. That's our bread and butter. And we do three things. We help them with good digital marketing. We use their CRM for data, so their client relationship management for data that we funnel back into the marketing. And then we also help them build automations in their business. This creates a whole marketing system that helps grow. Last year, our average client grew 27%. So anywhere from $250,000 to $1 million in annual revenue from working with us.
That is sharp. 250,000 to a million is it's not an easy thing, but Phil has been able to make it happen.
Hmm.
Proud of you, Phil.
Thanks, man.
A lot of businesses are spending money on marketing, but the results feel random. From your point of view, what's the most common reason a business doesn't get results driven marketing outcomes, even if they are doing a lot of activity?
Yeah, well, they're looking at outputs instead of outcomes. And what that means is that they are doing a lot of the right stuff, but they're not tracking it all the way through the funnel. So at my home service business, this was the exact situation that I had. I was spending $5,000 a month on Google ads, but I didn't know if those $5,000 turned into $50,000 or $0 because I could only see on Google ads, I spent $5,000 and I got 20 conversions or 20 leads, but I didn't know who those leads were. And then I didn't track them all the way into my CRM to get the data to then make my return on ad spend reporting. So a lot of people spend money on marketing that they don't know if it's actually working and they're just guessing. And what they need to do is they need to tie it all the way through from ad spend to leads to estimates generated to actual revenue collected. And then every single month look at what's working and what's not. And if it's not working, they need to fix it or go spend money on something that is working.
Hmm. CRM. We'll get on that part later.
CRM is a client relationship manager
Mhm. No,
where they keep all
hold on
records.
a minute. I'll ask a question about that later because I read about your marketing secret. So,
Okay.
um, but adding on to what you said earlier, what I've seen is that marketing often becomes this checklist. Like we are posting and we are running ads and we have a website, but there's no system tying it all together. So the team is busy, but they are not aligned on what success actually look like without tracking or feedback loops. It's hard to know what's working or where to really focus. So
That's right.
marketing start to feel random even when everybody is just trying hard.
Yeah, I was on a webinar last week and there was a guy on there who owns a marketing company, a small marketing company. And he says, well, why do you use their CRM data? And why do you get into their CRM? They just hire you to do blog content or marketing. And I said, hold on. No one wants to hire someone to just pay money to do marketing. They're hiring a marketing company because they want to grow their business. They want the outcome of growing their business.
Exactly.
So it's not about just like doing some Facebook post or it. A lot of the time business owners say, oh, well, I'm just going to go do this type of marketing. And they're basically trying to like diagnose themselves as a doctor when they just need to say, I want to grow my business. Let me find a company that's going to help me grow my business and do whatever it takes to grow. That's my company. That it's not just like, oh, we're going to do this tasks over here. It's just like you get a marketing team and we grow your business.
I'm curious when a business is doing a lot of ads, email, and posts, but they are not seeing results. How do you help them figure out which part of the system is broken?
Well, those are 3 different things, but what I would say is that good data makes good decisions, and a lot of people just operate off of gut feeling, so they just do stuff, but they never track it, and you could send out a million emails, but if you don't track your open rate and your click-through rate, it doesn't matter, you could send the same thing every single month, but you gotta, like, look at the data and then iterate what's working and then, take what you learned and then do it again. And a lot of times people just do stuff, they're busy doing random things, but they're not actually improving. They're just repetitive doing the tasks that's not even good. So you could do quantity, but you don't get quality until you actually do the quantity and figure out what works and what doesn't. And then you build the quality from there.
Wow, wow, that's really sharp. A good data makes a good decision. So if your data is broken, your decision is probably, wow.
Erratic. Yes.
And you also say something about turn traffic into a growth engine. What do you mean by that in plain language? Like, what has to be operationally true for traffic to stop being attention and start becoming book jobs and repeated revenue growth?
For sure. So in 2015, I started a blog about personal finance. This is how I learned digital marketing. And basically, I was talking about my personal journey, yeah, paying off debt and making money and stuff. So I started a blog about this before ChatGPT. I was writing all this stuff, right? And I was like, okay, how do I get people to my blog? So I learned about SEO and backlinks and all this stuff. And I ended up getting about 30 to 40,000 people to my blog every single month, reading all my stuff, right? But I didn't know how to convert the traffic into actual subscribers on my blog. And it's the same thing with home service businesses or any business. You get people coming to your website reading things, but you don't have the right call to actions to turn them into a lead or a subscriber. So that's what I talk about with traffic. Now, with home service businesses in particular, they're not focused on people all over the world, right? They don't want people in other countries. They want people literally in their city because they serve only their city. They can't serve someone in California if they're in Florida. You know what I mean? So basically, what they need to do is get local traffic. And then when they come to their website, they need to give them call to actions to convert into an actual lead. So some of those things is to have a chat widget on your website.
Yeah.
Another one is to have a pop up promo that has a promo where people can put in their email address and get a promo. Another one is online scheduling. Another one is estimate calculator. So there's a bunch of these tools that people can put on their website to get traffic into leads.
Hmm. That's a sharp tips, and I'm gonna apply all of them for my business as well. Thank you for the tip. Ooh, that's good. And adding on to that, something I've also noticed that a lot of business focus so much on traffic, but they don't realize the real gains come from what happens after someone clicks. So if there is no follow up, no clear next step, or no tracking in place, then that traffic just flows away. So to me, traffic only becomes valuable when there is a process that turn interest into action and action into repeat business. When you work with businesses that's getting a lot of traffic but not closing deals, what is the first thing you check? Is it the message, the follow up, or something else?
Yeah, so there's going to be 2 things that we always check is 1, lead quality. So you could pay someone to get you leads, but are they actually good leads, right? No, yes, who knows? Are they they speak English? Do they really want your service? Whatever. Like anyone can get you leads, but are they good leads? So the first thing is we go and we actually listen to the call recordings. We look at the actual leads that came in. Are they good or are they not good? Then from there, we can say, okay, the leads were good, but you didn't get any revenue or any jobs. So that tells me that your intake process, your call script, or your lead management plan or something is broken. And usually in home service in my space, it's like this. Someone needs a service, so it's Saturday night at 10 p.m. and they fill out a form, and then you call them Monday morning at 10 a.m. and they don't answer because they're at work, and then the lead's gone forever. The lead wasn't bad, but you weren't able to communicate with them, so it didn't actually get into the actual job. So we have to fix this. And the way that we fix it is that when someone fills out a form on your website, we instantly send them a text message and an email asking you for a picture. And then we have them schedule their service. If they have online scheduling, they can schedule their service right then and there. But effectively, there's three ways to communicate with a customer. You can call them, you can text them, you can email them. So we need to open up all the communication channels. So on Monday, when you call them and they don't answer, you can text them and email them and follow up in a different channel that you already have a communication line open. So to answer your question, there's two things. Is the lead quality good? If it's not, if it's bad, then you got to fix the lead quality. If the booking process is not good and like leads come in, but you don't have any way to nurture them, then you got to fix both of them. But basically, you have to look at both parts.
Wow, this is good in the lead quality and also extra checking, really relevant. I read about the seven secrets you shared, yeah, you share on your website. And one part of the report that stood out to me was what you call the budget destroyer. That agencies that ignore the CRM data. You made the case that when they only track the surface metrics like clicks or ad impressions, it brings a black hole where money goes in, but no one really knows what's coming out. And according to the data you shared, businesses can lose up to 14 million a year from poor CRM integration alone. And the number was really shocking for me. I was like, 14 million, that's a big money.
Yeah.
When a business has a CRM, but it's just a kind of sitting there, not really helping them grow, how do you turn that around?
Yeah, well, first thing is they have to use their CRM. So you have the problem is that you have a CRM usually, and if you're, a million to $10 million business, you have to be using your CRM because you have so many moving parts. CRM is client relationship manager. It's where you manage all of your jobs and clients and customers. So if you're doing over $1 million, like if you're below a million, then one thing is use your CRM because everyone over $1 million using their CRM. The problem is that when you're over $1 million and you have all this data in your CRM, it's just trapped. And what would be really nice is if you had a marketing company that knew the data in your CRM. So then you could take whatever was working from your CRM and funnel it back into your marketing. Because every single customer that comes into your CRM came from somewhere. So if you know where they came from, let's just do more of those things. So the biggest issue a lot of times with marketing companies is that they just worry about outputs. You hire them to do Google ads, they're going to run your Google ads for you and get you some leads. But what they're not going to do is actually go into your CRM and pull out all the data and numbers. They're going to expect you to do that. But you're trying to scale a business and grow a business. You're not a CRM master or data master or something like that. So the biggest thing that we see is that it's like a black hole because there's no one that's actually looking at these numbers. It's disconnected. And so one of the unique things for us when I was at my home service business was once I connected those dots, it was easy to grow because I just said, okay, this works and this doesn't work. And that's why we do this for our clients.
Hmm. One thing I've seen is that a lot of CRM are technically set up. The contact info is there, maybe some automations, but no one on the team is actually using it in a consistent way. And it becomes this 10 people forget to open instead of something that drives daily action. So it's not about features, it's about how it's built into workflow, where it actually helps people close the loop and follow up faster. That's my opinion. When you step into a business with a CRM that is underused like that, how do you get that team to actually to adopt it and make it part of their routine so that they will not be using it as just a tool that they log in once a week?
Yeah, we have two ways to do this. One, in home service, they're not going to be logging in once a week. because they have to use it every single day. But we do it in two ways. One, we pull out the data. So we look at leads year over year. So we go into their CRM and get the leads last January versus this January. So if you want to know how many leads that you're getting year over year, you need to put it in the CRM. Then we pull out how many jobs that they did, how many estimates. So let's say, in a business, it's like, okay, last year I did 10 estimates. This year I did 20 estimates. So that means I'm up double the number of estimates. That's good. So you want to know that. So the way that we get them to use it is that we say, hey, we need to pull this data. You should know this data to grow your business. So we're going to pull the data from your CRM. The second thing, usually this one gets them pretty good. We had a client that we started working with, and they were similar. Like they used their CRM, but not that great. However, what we did was they had a bunch of people in the database, a couple thousand people in their database. We took all those people and we started sending them emails every single month. And the first year of doing that, just from these emails, they generated $263,000 just from those emails, one a month. Once we showed them this, we said, guys, if you get these people in your CRM and you get their email addresses, we're going to be cross-selling them and using this in our email newsletters, and it's generating real money, $250,000. That got them pretty excited about putting everything in their CRM because they could see the full thing. People come into the CRM, get the email, come back in, more revenue comes in.
But why does people lack the knowledge of the right way in using CRM? Meanwhile, it's a really great engine to generate them more income.
Yeah, well, the biggest problem is this, is that business owners do not like CRMs because they are creative, right? Like we don't want to be boxed into some operational process and SOPs and all stuff. Like I know for me, like that's just not my thing. Like I can say, hey, let's sign up for the CRM and use this thing, but I can't sit there and build out all the processes. So if you don't have someone in your company who can build out the processes and likes all that stuff, then it's going to be hard to actually implement. And so it can be very, very hard for people to get that person in their business. Usually they'll hire like an admin or a customer service representative, and that person is more administrative and they like those things. So they would be the one that's going to run point. And then the owner, like myself or a home service business, they are the ones that are actually just more looking at the data and making sure that the CSR and the CRM are actually working together. Customer service representative and CRM are doing all the right stuff and then pulling the data out instead of like building the processes inside of the CRM.
Wow, 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 that's brilliant. Let's talk about your core framework. That's visibility, conversion, and retargeting. When you walk into a 1 million to 10 million home service business, how do you quickly diagnose which of these three pillars is actually the constraint?
Yeah, well, usually the constraint is the conversion one because most companies don't have a lead problem, they have a lead management problem. Especially when they're like over $1 million, they have leads coming into their business from all over the place, but they don't have a good process to manage them, which is the conversion part, that the second part. So usually we say, hey, what's your process for getting a lead coming in and turning it into a job? And usually they say, oh, I get an email with the lead information, then I call them and they don't answer, and then I try to call them again. And this is exactly what I did at my home service business. And what we do to fix that is we do the text and email and nurture sequence for the lead nurture sequence. But usually, like if we can button up their lead nurture sequence and their estimate nurture sequence, we can add another like $50 to $100,000 just by doing those things. Inside of the visibility, you about 80% of people, when we ask them, do you track your return on ad spend? So you're spending money on ads. Do you know that you made money or lost money? They say no. So usually that's like a very easy one that we're like, okay, well, we're going to fix this for you in the first 30 to 60 days. So that's good. And then when we ask them about the other side, which is retargeting, hey, do you send out an email newsletter to your customers? They say two things. One, yes, but it's just like a branding thing. And then two, no, we want to do that, but we don't have a good process. So like my company does all of those things because I know those are the three big things: return on ad spend, fix the conversion funnel, email marketing, and have a great process for each one.
Wow. And something I've found interesting is that even when business owners are aware of those three areas, they often don't have a way to measure one clearly. Like they don't know how many leads are slipping through after a form is filled out, or even how often past customers are being re-engaged. So the gap isn't just the system, it's knowing where the breakdown is happening and being able to point it to with the data. Have
Exactly.
you
This is This is why we use the CRM data, because if we look at, hey, Kwame, you got 10 leads and you only booked 2 appointments, that's 20%. If I said we got 10 leads and you have a lead nurture sequence and you book 5 appointments, that's 50%. So that delta tells me that we're doing something right. And basically that's why you got to look at all the numbers in your CRM, because then you're going to figure out where the issue is. Is it the lead quality? Is it the lead nurture sequence? Is it the booking rate? And this is why, as like, if kind of like how I started it, if you want to grow your business, it's not just about doing more Facebook ads. It's about having a system with data.
Hmm. Data. It all comes back to data.
Yes.
I'm curious if you found any simple habits or tools that help business owners start paying closer attention to that without needing a full marketing team behind them.
Yeah, for sure. So once you hit around like $1 million in revenue, the hustler has to die and the leader has to be born. And specifically, the hustler is usually running around firefighting, doing all this stuff, and you're going to cap out around $1 million or $2 million. Once you actually start to lead, the data is what tells you if things are working or not. And you start to manage by looking at numbers and saying, this is broken in my business, this is not broken in my business. I'll give you a perfect example. In my business, there's a million things that could be fixed at all times in the business, but I know that only 4 things matter. How many leads did we get? How many clients did we close? How many clients did we lose? And what's our monthly revenue number? Those 4 numbers. So, like, once you know those numbers, there's a lot of issues going on, right? But if I know that, like, okay, my leads are coming in, I got some new clients, no clients left us, and I got enough money to pay everyone, things are pretty good. And so I guess the whole gist is you could be firefighting and being the hustler and just like not growing your business and being the leader, or you could start managing by the numbers. And that's going to allow you, whether you work with a company like ours or not, just to think about your business conceptually, just what numbers are most important. And then how do I know that those numbers are actually right?
Mhm. And I also think when you check the leads that you lost or the clients that you lost, it leads to a question, why did they go? And then the why will also lead to a problem you may discover in your company to solve so that you won't lose more leads or more clients based on that problem.
Exactly. There's an acronym for this from a book called Clockwork from Mike McAllowicz, and it's called ACDC: attract, convert, deliver, and collect. Attract, convert, deliver, collect. And so when you look at your business, if you're like, for me, if I had a bunch of clients leaving and churning, then I would be like, okay, I need to go figure out why they're leaving. But I don't have that issue. So my issue is I need people to come in and turn into customers. So I need to go focus on that. And you basically have to go from bottleneck to figure out what do I need to do to get more people. You know what I mean?
Mhm. I really understand it. One section about the reports shared on your website, you describe how most agencies operate like assembly lines. They've got one person for social posts, another for blogs, another for ads, but no one connects the dots. You called it out as a major reason why businesses end up with generic and disjointed marketing. You also point to the real cost of this, that 28% of marketing budgets get wasted because there is no strategy holding things together. For a business owner who is stuck in that cycle, they've got a few marketing things going on, but nothing is working together. How do you approach stitching it into a system? Where do you usually start to get alignment?
Yeah. So this is the difference between having a cookie cutter marketing company and then having a cohesive marketing strategy. Most of the cookie cutter companies, they hire someone that's good at social posts, hire someone that's good at emails, and then they have verticals that they work in. So you get a new client, these people do all of our emails. So naturally, they don't know anything about your business. They're just doing these things for you. And so I said, okay, well, that's not good because they're not learning anything about the businesses that we work with. So what we do is we work in what's called pods, where it's like a consultant gets like 10 to 15 clients. Then in the pod, they have a coordinator that's responsible for doing social posts and everything. And then they have a videographer, they have an ads person, they have a developer. So they're working in pods. So these people are learning about the business and getting better instead of just having verticals. So if you have these vertical things, what usually ends up happening is, as a business owner, you are the marketing manager in your business and you're trying to keep all these plates spinning all over the place with different agencies and different things. I had one guy, he had 5 different agencies that he was working with, a Google Ads, a Facebook Ads person, a HubSpot, this. And it's like, bro, like it's a full-time job for you just to try to keep track of all these people and what they're doing and who's actually doing this and who's not. So this is the whole part of having all these different silos, is that to go from 1 million to 10 million, which is who we serve, you're just going to stall out and burn out. You can't, it's not feasible for that.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Because I also agree with what you said, because the people running your Google ads and Facebook ads, they need to understand your business. Else, whatever is going out there is just noise, and not no true information may come out from those ads as well.
That's right. I'll give you one other cherry on top. A lot of times right now in the agency world, they're just using ChatGPT regurgitated junk. They're going to ChatGPT and say, write me a Facebook ad for HVAC, or write me a blog post about that. And then you just get that same generic stuff that everyone's getting. It's trash, right? And like what we do is we actually use real content from our real customers based off of their call transcripts, based off their call recordings. And then we use that data to create content.
Hmm.
Instead of just going to ChatGPT, we use real content from our customers to build their stuff. And then we have this flywheel of content. We get content, and then we get real stuff that they're saying to their customers, turn that into content, and then it's this cycle of content, which is really good.
Yeah, with that being said, I think those people should know when not to use ChatGPT for their works, because ChatGPT is literally a generic AI platform.
Exactly.
So whatever you tell it to do, you are gonna get the same as 1,000 people got out there. So I think what you are doing is really smart, because I mean, pulling what you've already done with your other clients, it makes everything vertical. So you do not get any generic thing. And I think people should actually know what to automate and what to keep human, else the authenticity is gonna be lost real bad. Real bad. Um, if I see you 5 years from now, what do you wish to achieve with Phlash Consulting? Where are you going?
Yeah, for sure. So definitely in 5 years from now, we should be around 300 clients from a client count perspective. We should be around $10 million in revenue. That's like with Flash side of things. Um, yeah, definitely like there should be a much bigger impact that we make on the home service industry, which is the clients that we serve, and a lot more team members that are impacted. I believe that there's like these 3 wins that I always go back to. Our clients should win. They should get a great product or service that helps them grow their business. Our team members should win. Like the people that work at Flash should be making a bunch of money and enjoy what they do. And then the business should be making profit as well. So as long as I keep those 3 things central, the business is going to be good and we're going to keep growing.
That's a solid one. That's a solid one. And do you have any last remarks for our audience?
I would say if you're trying to do marketing or if you are a marketing company, I would just encourage you to try to use your clients' data, because the data, it helps them make the decisions, and they're not just hiring you because they want, more Facebook ads or something. They're hiring you because they want to grow their business. So the more that you can connect the dots for them, the better it's going to be for them to achieve the outcome, and it's going to help you stand out. You're going to have better churn, you're going to have better reviews, better results. So the more that you can do that, I would encourage it, because I've seen it to be great for our business.
All right, everything gets back to data integrity and quality. Thanks so much for sharing your insights. That was incredibly valuable, and I appreciate your time and your openness. It was a pleasure having you, and I see Phlash Consulting doing big things. And in 5 years' time, Phlash Consulting is surely gonna pass 10 million in revenue.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you.
You are welcome. You're welcome. And so that will be a wrap for today, guys. We'll see you in the next episode. If you haven't subscribed, please make sure you click on the subscribe button. I will share Phil's website link in the description below. So make sure you contact him, any local service business owner watching today's podcast. Make sure you go to Phlash Consulting. They have a really structured way for you to build up your revenue. So thank you, guys, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye.